I have a combined total of 25 plus years in local, state, and federal government as someone that worked the front lines, military, local law enforcement. I've seen the areas where waste occurs, and I honestly believe that I can step up and help that to move out of existence and try and help save taxpayers their monies. Additionally, I know that there's no trust between the public and the government right now, and I want to rebuild that trust, and I want to restore and put honor back into those political positions, which is exactly what I aim to do. Making the government smaller is a complex question, but it is something that is doable, and I fully intend to do everything that I can to cut those things that are not needed. I'm past director of the American Legion Riders. I'm a member of American Legion Post 382 here in Navarre. I am a member of the Board of Directors for Holly Navarre Water, recently elected. Outside of that, there are not a lot of organizations that I'm a member of, primarily because what I've seen out of the existing board members is that they're a member of every organization, but it's like they still don't know what's going on at our level. So what I'm trying to focus on are the needs of the people rather than specific groups. I think that the Navarre Pass is something that needs to be decided by the people. I believe that it should be brought up on a referendum. And I believe that whatever the people decide, the government should fully back. If the people vote yes, then we back their play. If they vote no, then we say it's already been voted on by the people. But that is a tax burden which will inevitably fall back on the taxpayers of this area. If it's a success, then it's great. But if it turns out to be a failure, it's going to be not so easy to justify if the government comes in and imposes its will upon the people. I believe that there needs to be infrastructure redesign for this particular area. There are times when the Highway 98's dead. There's not much traffic at all, but there are those times where it's bumper to bumper and all it takes is one mistake and then you've got a traffic jam for a couple of hours. I think some sort of a route to help relieve 98 of its traffic congestion during those heavy times is necessary. Continuing on though, that is something that cautiously needs to be approached, because anytime you start dealing with people's personal property, which will inevitably be impacted, that is something that has to be approached with the greatest amount of respect and courtesy for the property owners. One of the problems with getting small businesses to come here is the interference of government or government-related boards that seem to hinder the establishment of new businesses. In talking with several business owners up Highway 98, Navarre Architectural Review Board seems to be imposing, I guess, stipulations for the erection or establishment of businesses, even though Navarre itself is not an incorporated township. So in my eyes, it's kind of like imposing homeowner association rules on businesses that already exist there. And I think that I know for a fact that has run a couple of businesses off. Home Depot, Ruby Tuesdays, one of the local coffee shops, I've talked to them at length and they had nothing good to say about the process. I understand we want to keep some sort of an aesthetic view for this particular area, and that's truly understandable, but if you want to change a community, you buy up the property, you change it as you see fit. You don't force your will upon people. And that's exactly what has stifled a lot of the growth here. And I believe with all of my heart, we need to pull that authority back from independent boards, give it back to the government so it can be executed by planning and zoning. If it's too much for planning and zoning, well then maybe we need to look at eliminating planning and zoning and just contract out all of the services. One way or the other, that is something that is controlled by the people through a representative government. and it's not being done that way right now. That is a hot topic, and while I will say this, I love dolphins, I love turtles, I love all the fish. As a matter of fact, I love to scuba dive. This particular tragedy is catastrophic to the entire coastline, not just in Florida, but all the way up through New York, I believe is what they're saying now. What I would hate to see, and I am in agreement with candidate Hill for state senator, is I think what we need to do is gather all the data up. We don't need to have a knee-jerk moment. We need to make sure we've got all the information. First things first, BP needs to get the oil shut off, period. As far as continued drilling off of our coastlines, if it's done in a safe manner, I believe that it would be reasonable for the people to allow it to occur. There are unfortunate instances where oil has become an issue and has ended up on beaches, and that is devastating to the business owners and to the people who own homes here. Future of Navarre. I think that if we can streamline the government, start allowing free trade to get back in and start doing what it does best, pull the government back out, stop daddling in real estate, stop creating code or redundancy of codes, whatever regulations don't need to go, allow businesses to flourish, Navarre will grow at the pace that it chooses to grow at, and that's what I would love to see. I don't want the government coming in and forcing growth down our throats, because nobody's happy with that. But if Joe Smith up here decides he wants to open a business, he puts forth the effort, and the county allows him to participate in a procedure that is actually accommodating to business owners, then he'll have an easier time opening his store. The next guy that decides to open a store would do the same thing. He would see the good example set, and hopefully Navarre will grow and develop its assets as we can.